Do you consider yourself a Disney adult? Someone that likes to go to the theme parks but without kids? In 2021 and 2022, search traffic for the term Disney adult skyrocketed, and some people on Twitter and the memes and just kind of went crazy making fun of certain subsets of people that love going to Disney. And yet, I know from experience that I've helped hundreds of people relocate to be closer to the mouse. So whether you're looking to move closer to Disney or Universal or just Florida in general, and you're kind of a theme park fan, today's video is for you. I'm going to talk about some areas you might want to live in. At the end of the video, we're going to talk about 3 things that you might not have thought about as a Disney adult. Stay tuned. By the way, my name's Ken, and this is my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, I put out videos every week around real estate, theme parks, and living in Orlando. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's get into the video. All right, so you made a decision. You're going to Orlando, either full-time or maybe part-time, whether it's a second home or you're buying an Airbnb that you're going to use from time to time. And there's 3 things to think about in this process. Number 1 is going to be your use. Are you going to be moving here full-time, or are you going to be renting this out while you're not here via Airbnb or something like that? And so not all of Orlando allows short-term rentals. And so this is a very important point to determine wherein you want to be in Orlando. And so it's some people call me up and they'll say like, hey, I'm not really sure how I want to use it. Maybe I'll rent it out, maybe I won't. That's not really a decision you can make along the way unless you want to rent it out for a year at a time in some of these long-term rental only areas. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 would be figuring out, how do you plan on paying for this? Are you paying cash? Are you getting a mortgage? If you're getting a mortgage, talking to a lender to start that process and figuring out how much can you afford so that you can start determining the third most important thing, which is location. So depending on how you plan on using the place, if it's a short-term rental, you're going to be looking at Davenport, Reunion, West Kissimmee, Point Siena, some parts of Winter Haven. All of those are going to allow short-term rentals, but not every neighborhood. The great majority of the rest of Orlando does not allow short-term rentals. And so if you're in Celebration, Winter Garden, Windermere, Dr. Phillips, and Dr. Phillips is a great place if you're a theme park fan because it's equidistant to Universal and Disney. But all of those areas do not allow short-term rentals. So figuring out your use is the number 1 step. So those are really the first 3 things that we want to talk about: use, price, and location when you're starting your home search process. All right, so let's dig a little bit more into the location area because this is an important point. There's probably 5 different areas that I would say the majority of our theme park / Disney fans want to land in if they're moving to Orlando full-time. Number 1 is Golden Oak. That's the one that everybody mentions, whether they can afford it or not. The average sales price there is well over $5 million now, and there's only 299 homes. We've been very fortunate to help multiple people move into the neighborhood, but not everybody can. So number 2 is Celebration. Celebration does have something for everybody, from apartments that you only rent all the way up to condos, townhomes, small single family, and large estates. And so depending on your budget, they've got kind of something for everybody. Most of the houses there are not stucco, they're more hardy siding, and prices range all the way from the 200s up to the multi-millions. The third area I would say that's most popular for theme park fans is Horizon West, which is the lower part of Winter Garden, or 34787, which is the zip code. Most of this area has been built up over the past 10 years, and so you've got lots of new neighborhoods, not a lot of mature trees, and that's probably the biggest complaint that I hear from people moving to the area. But you got new construction, semi-affordable, and really close to the parks, especially the Disney area. Number 4, I would say, is Windermere. Windermere is a fantastic area. They've got something really, again, for everybody. You've got townhome life all the way up to the gated mega mansions. Tiger Woods has lived here, Bubba Watson, Justin Timberlake, Shaq, like all of these major players that used to live in Orlando lived in Windermere. And so there's a reason for that. Number 5, I would say, is Dr. Phillips. Dr. Phillips is a really great area for theme park fans because you're close to Universal, SeaWorld, and Disney, all within like 30 minutes of yourself. So it's a really great area if that's something that you're really considering. And I would say number 6, if I had to throw it in, would be Claremont. Now, if you're budgetarily constrained, Claremont is the place to look. You've got a ton of new construction growth there, and right now builders are offering incentives to move to the area, so there's a lot of great opportunity there. It is a bit of a bedroom community, and retail and a lot of commercial is still forthcoming, but it's beautiful. They've got a lot of nature trails, rolling hills, which is not something we see in Central Florida, so Claremont, definitely check it out. All right, so let's talk about some of the fun stuff about living in Orlando, because one of the number 1 questions I get asked for people that want to move here to be close to the theme parks is, Ken, does it get boring? Like, do I eventually kind of just get burned out on going to Disney or Universal? After living here for 7 years, I can unequivocally unequivocally say that I do not get bored living in Orlando. Between Universal, Orlando, SeaWorld, and sort of like the nature that we have here, there's always something to do. Let's start over at Universal. They have Halloween Horror Nights, which was so much fun to go to this year. I was not a big fan at first and then fell in love. They also have a holiday event. They've got a Mardi Gras event. City Walk over there has Hard Rock Live. They've got just plenty of stuff to do from the food and drink perspective, and there's just always new stuff going on. At Disney, they've got a festival going on literally every week for the entire year. You've got food and wine, you've got Festival of the Holidays, you got Festival of the Arts, they've got Run Disney events, and just a lot of fun stuff going on all the time. And so that's the cool thing about living in Orlando. It's a living, breathing organism with new restaurants and new stuff to do. And so the next thing I want to talk about is 3 things that you might not have thought about as a Disney adult that are a lot of fun. All right, so I'm putting together a definitive list of different Disney adult things to do over on my website, theorlandoreal.com. So make sure you go over there, sign up for our newsletter. But here's 3 things that we did over the past month that I thought were really fun. The first one was a monorail crawl. You can also do a Skyliner crawl, and I'm sure you've heard of a pub crawl at one time or another. But a monorail crawl, you get a reservation, grab an Uber, go check out the Grand Floridian, get a reservation somewhere there, and you have a drink and appetizers. Then you go on the monorail. Next hotel, you grab your meal, another drink, and then dessert at the last one. Bring some friends. This is a very fun, memorable event. If you can get into Trader Sam's over at the Polynesian, that is a really good time. The second thing that we did recently was we started taking advantage of the different hotels that we have here. Even if you don't stay here on a staycation, you can use their spa and a lot of their amenities locally, just being a Florida resident. And so going to the spa, getting a massage, enjoying and just kind of unplugging from the day-to-day is a remarkable kind of thing to be able to do. And Orlando is just flush with amazing hotels, from the Four Seasons, the Ritz, the multiple JWs that we have here. Just really good time. The third thing that we enjoyed, and maybe you've heard of this before, but Jelly Rolls over at the Boardwalk is a really good 21 and older piano bar, and it's a really good time. Depending on the night that you go, you got to get there early because there is a line and it typically books up and they only let a certain amount of people through. So if you could think of any Disney adult kind of things to do, drop some comments below. I'd love to hear them. After being a real estate agent in Michigan for a decade, my wife and I decided to move to Orlando in 2016 to be closer to everything going on in Orlando, and we have not regretted it for a minute. It's made so much of our life a little bit better by being able to have so much to do and make memories with the kids whenever we're wanting to. And so if you're thinking about making that lifestyle move, you want to buy a second home, or you're looking to relocate, my team and I, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. So email me, info@pozekgroup.com, and we'll get the process started. We'll talk to you soon.